Hello and welcome to my channel Kindly Cooking India. I am Narhari and today I'm not here to share with you any sort of recipe, but instead I'm here to talk about a really important topic, which is uncovering the truth behind the dairy industry in India. Before I start, I want to confess that I wasn't a vegan since birth. In fact, until last year, I was a hardcore non-vegetarian who could eat any sort of meat, whether it be pig's ear, buffalo's tongue, chicken hearts, or even silkworms. I was so lost towards my passion that I gave up my religion and almost forgot about the animal abuse which takes place behind procuring these animal-based products. I was misguided by the hospitality industry, where many people told me that to become a great chef, you need to be tough, daring, and willing to cook and eat almost everything. I don't want to blame anyone for this because it was all my fault for not being mature enough and see the bigger picture. But now that I see the big picture, I want to share the horrific view with all of you. So let me begin by stating a few facts. India is the largest producer of milk in the entire world. We produce nearly 18,700 crore liters of milk annually. This is so much milk that if we pump all of this quantity into New Delhi, it will drown the city 4,000 kilometers under the milk. Can you imagine that? At the same time, India is also the largest exporter of beef in the entire world. We produce nearly 365 crore kgs of beef annually, and out of that, we export 240 crore kgs of beef. This is so much beef that it equals to the weight of the entire population of Delhi and Punjab combined. Since a long time, India's rural economy has been dependent on the production and supply and export of its natural resources such as milk and beef. At the same time, we import health-worsening fast food brands such as the pizza brand, the burger brand, the soft drink brand, and so on. Export of such massive amounts of beef in the entire world has made a huge environmental impact, where many people are suffering through life-threatening diseases such as coronary heart disease, obesity, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome. Moreover, our own country has shifted towards a toxic Western diet and at the same time facing a lack of natural resources such as food and water with an added dosage of natural disasters like floods, droughts, earthquakes, and virus spreads. And all of this is happening due to mass deforestation and massive use of natural resources majorly by beef and milk industry. So the question which arises here is that for how long can a country like India depend upon some species of animal to support its humongous population? And the answer to this is with the Indian youth who understands the consequences of this huge flaw in our country. India has a human population of 130 crores and the population of cows and buffaloes in this country is 30.33 crores, which means that for every 4 people in India, a cow or a buffalo is serving them with milk, meat, and leather. Moreover, an average cattle requires about 20 kgs of feed and 150 liters of water per day, which means that cows and buffaloes are consuming much more food and water than humans in this country. In return, they give us meat, which we export almost all of it, and milk is what we consume, thinking that as it comes from a holy animal, there must be no harm either to the animal or to our environment. But what we overlook is that 60 to 70% of our country's milk is produced from buffaloes, and slaughter of buffaloes is legal in India. So now it becomes more profitable for a farmer to breed buffaloes than cows, because now he can first sell that animal's milk and later when that animal is not able to produce milk efficiently, he then sells that animal to the meat and leather industry. Even when cow slaughter is banned in India, in most of the states, it is still allowed in a few states such as Kerala, West Bengal, and most of the northeastern states. So many non-productive cows are illegally trafficked towards these areas with an excuse of using them in farms to plow fields. But instead, they are sent to slaughterhouses and their meat and leather is illegally exported to nearby countries such as Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal, and Bangladesh. This situation almost coincides with the Nazi Holocaust, where 60 million Jews were systematically murdered. Just the difference is that instead of Jews, now dairy animals are being slaughtered, and instead of 60 lakhs, the number has now reached to tens of crores, and that too annually since past 70 years. Like all other mammals, including humans, cows and buffaloes can only produce milk while they are engaged in the process of birth giving. And nowadays, most of the dairy farmers use the process of artificial insemination, where the sperm of the best male cattle is used, whose baby is a sure shot female and can produce the highest amount of milk, regardless of the risk of losing indigenous breeds. And hence, these animals are never allowed to reproduce naturally. These hybrid cattle produces 5 times more milk than indigenous breeds and is far more profitable to the farmer. But many a times they suffer through a condition known as mastitis, which is an inflammation of their heavy udders, resulting in pus in the milk. Although these breeds do not survive well in India, there are repeated attempts to introduce them in our country. After impregnation, when a cow or buffalo gives birth to a baby, the farmer takes the baby away from its mother within a few hours of birth, leaving both mother and child in deep pain and suffering. Male calves not able to produce milk are sent to slaughterhouses while still young to extract their white tender meat, which we recall as veal meat in the food production industry. Imagine if you are hungry to death and there is food all around you, but you cannot touch it because you're not a human. And I'm talking about stray cattle roaming around on streets in search of food and water. Instead, these vegetable and fruit vendors kick and slap these animals, which we consider as holy, if they try to take some food from their carts. The hidden purpose behind leaving some cows on the streets is to manipulate with the mindset of general public that none of the cows is being slaughtered and the dairy industry is exclusively connected with this holy animal. Dairy products, being the most essential form of nutrition with no environmental consequence, is a marketing tactic that many of the dairy giants use excessively within our community. Imagine these cows and buffaloes have spent their whole lives serving us humans. First, they are continuously impregnated, and that too unnaturally. At this time, they are fed with food which is not rich in nutrition. Instead, it is rich in antibiotics with an added dose of painful injections of oxytocin. Once they are not able to produce milk efficiently, they either suffer a terrible slaughter or a life of hunger. Cows tied to posts on the streets or the ones who roam around on streets in search of food and water often suffer through diseases such as tuberculosis and mastitis. And there is a high chance of transfer of these diseases from animals to humans. COVID-19 is the primary example of transfer of disease from animals to humans. And this is not the first time that a condition like this is happening. SARS spread in 2003 and 2009 due to exploitation of civet cats in China. MERS spread in 2012 due to exploitation of camels in Saudi Arabia. H1N1 flu spread in 2009 due to exploitation of pigs. And several other diseases such as rabies, bird flu, and trichinosis have harmed many of us humans in past. In my opinion, this disease spread is a strong reply from Mother Nature to us humans for excessively exploiting its natural resources in the form of deforestation and animal abuse. A few days ago, one of my relatives told me that we should not pluck flowers after sunset as these plants are sleeping at that time. But what about these animals with evident souls? Why don't we think twice before consuming dairy or meat products that we are snatching someone's only chance to live just to satisfy our taste buds, and that too for a mere moment. The fact that dairy products are much more closely related to non-vegetarian food than it is to vegetarian food brings us to uncover the story behind this huge conspiracy. Operation Flood, world's largest dairy development program, started on 13th of January 1970 with an aim to help small landless laborers and farmers earn a better living. This brought India's White Revolution into existence, where Mr. Tribhuvan Das Kishibai, Mr. Sardar Patel, and Dr. Verghese Kurian played a major role. This revolution converted India from being a milk deficient country into the largest producer of milk in the entire world. Dairy farmers started to earn a fair share of their produce, and watching them, many other small farmers joined the dairy industry. The impact was so huge that India started producing 18,700 crore liters of milk just from the starting point of 300 liters. Earlier in India, farm animals were considered as a part of farmers' family and were treated and respected the same way. But with innovation in milking machinery and fast lives of people, farm animals just became a mere commodity. This initiative started with an aim to help small landless farmers and laborers earn a better living, ended up becoming the biggest causes of environmental degradation in the entire world. Cows' farts and burps release massive amount of methane gas into the atmosphere, leading to greenhouse effect and hence contributing towards severe climate change and next mass extinction. Dr. Verghese Kurian, the father of White Revolution, told us where and how to start, but didn't tell us where to stop and control. Now that he is not alive, it is our responsibility to understand this huge flaw and work towards bringing a sustainable future in the entire world. So what can we do to bring a change? Firstly, it has become an urgent need to reduce our consumption of meat and dairy products and slowly pilot towards whole, local and seasonal plant-based diets, because the dairy industry depends upon the demand and supply basis, and if we reduce our demand for these products, these animals will not be brought unnaturally into this cruel world. Forget about their slaughter, hunger or environmental damage. Secondly, we need to create more awareness towards these topics amongst our relatives, children and family. Thirdly, we need to work towards creative ideas to build a sustainable future rather than depending upon the same old idea of dairy farming where creativity only leads to more environmental damage. And at last, milk is not the only source of nutrition and flavor, and you will only get to experience that once you move away from your current diet. Before I leave, I commit that I will never promote any animal-based product in my entire life, even if I have to pile it away from my ultimate passion for being a chef. I cannot change the whole world, but all I can do is bring a change in myself. And if every person on this earth takes their own responsibility, we can mitigate the effects of natural disasters and bring peace into this world. Thank you.